a software company in Silicon Valley. And she was saying that any of her team could go across town and make $20,000 more a year. But why haven't they? She was asked why. So tell me, why would they not go to the next company and earn $20,000 more a year? Yeah, fun. They said it was fun. They had fun coming to work. Because up to, they said, research again, after you earn up to $100,000, up to that point, incrementally, you are happier and you do like it. But after they say $100,000, you're not much happier. You want other things to fill you, other things to challenge you and motivate you. So having a fun place to come and creating a fun place to work. Rick creates a fun home. We laugh so much that, I mean, we laugh. It just, and so again, 3 to 1. Catch your people doing things right.
What are you laughing at?
Oh my God. Good question. He's hysterical. He sings show tunes. It's really kind of, he starts off in the first thing in the morning singing show tunes. How can you not laugh? Okay.
Take your medication.
They're in neuroscience. This is Neuroscience 101. I'm not a scientist. Well, I guess I am. I'm a psychologist. That's a scientist. But neuroscience, they have great brain studies now that are fascinating. One thing they know, we have in our brains called mirror neurons, which means that you are going to mirror how I am. So if I come in and I'm smiling and I'm happy and I have the energy, look, you smile. But if I'm coming in and I'm, and it's so subtle, people will pick up on your moods. And this is something you can do now. Play with it in your home, in your work, in your class. Watch people, they will mimic you. And you have, again, it's incredibly powerful if you think of it, is that you have the power to make somebody's day. By smiling, to be upbeat, to compliment them when you see something nice, not to be inauthentic, be authentic, but to share. So anyway, people are going to respond. Emotions are contagious. Our brains change with every thought we have. We can recreate habits, and if we want to create a habit, we have to back up and see, what do we think about? What are we thinking? And generally, it's a toxic thought. It's a bad thought, something we tell ourselves that creates an emotion that eventually creates an action. So you back up, and you say, what am I thinking? So if every thought is creating changes in your brain, what do you want to be thinking about? I coached some women. There's one woman in particular. She'd literally say, I suck. Oh, I suck. And she kept saying that. But really, truly, we have this inner dialogue. Do we, and some of us are like, oh, God, I can't, what do we tell ourselves in our brain? But the thing is, you can always turn it around. And when you catch yourself telling yourself, like, oh, you can't do this, stop it. And you have to, again, account them over and over. Our brain right now has all of these pathways that we've created over our lifetime. And so it's difficult to change one of those lifetime pathways, but you can. And the person who discovered this is Martin Seligman. He's a psychologist, positive psychology, and he did his research on learned helplessness. And he says he's naturally very grumpy. His demeanor is very grumpy. And he was out with his daughter in the garden, and his little daughter goes, Dad, you know how you told me not to whine anymore last week? And he goes, yep. He goes, and I stopped whining, didn't I? And he says, well, yeah, you did. And she says, Dad, can you please not be so grumpy? And that started his thought on positive psychology. And all of this research, his website is AuthenticHappiness.com. Great, tons of great stuff on positive psychology. But that is what they have found is, yes, you can. By doing gratitude journals, by, again, the 3 to 1, choosing to be positive, practicing. But you can. But it is, okay, I like this analogy. If you if you going sledding in the snow, the first time down, the mountain, it's the fresh, you create the first trail. But at the end of the day, it's grooved in, right? And so you're already in that track. It's kind of the way our brain works. So we have this natural style of natural triggers, natural responses. But if one of those things we want to change, well, I call out like Rick a lot. I say, help me change this. Tell me, if I do that, stop me. Because sometimes you go, I don't want to do that anymore. Hold yourself accountable and don't just say, that's just me. I like the idea too of looking at the leaders, managers, people that you admire, dead, alive, you know them, you don't know them. What do they do that makes them a great boss? Think of the great bosses you've had. What do they do? And benchmark those standards and say, that is what I want to be. These people I get to coach, they're all very, very smart men and women. Most of them have, their masters from all over, from Stanford, Harvard, MIT, very smart. They have the head knowledge, but to put it into practice isn't always so easy. So again, we're learning, but actually doing it. Again, some of these guys, the girls are actually pretty bad, and generally this is true. Easier girls can do the compliments better. Some guys think it's just not, it's hard. So get someone to hold you accountable and help you when you just decide what it is you want to change. Okay, so EQ versus IQ. In your team, what do you hire for? Do you want someone who's the smartest person in the room? The most compassionate person in the room? And probably a little of both. But here was what the university was, Cambridge University was doing research on management teams. And they took like the guys and gals with the most highest IQ, and they created a team. And then they had a mixture, and it was obviously a long process. And so they gave them problems to solve, everybody the same. And which team do you think was the best, the most high-functioning performance team? Mixed. The high IQ people were all so used to being the smartest person in the room that they debated everything, and they never would get anything done. None of them wanted to do the tasks that they thought were less than, and so it's a mixture. But also research has shown that many managers now say they will hire for someone who comes in with good emotional intelligence. Most skills can be taught, sometimes not, but you can't always change someone's attitude. You might have somebody who is amazingly talented, but if they have a toxic personality, that can just ruin the whole atmosphere. And that's something about teams that's important, is not only who do you hire, who do you fire? And be careful of hiring just your friends, because they're very hard to fire. This is Jack Welch from GE, General Electric. His theory is the 20-70-10 rule. Top 20% are your superstars, and he believes you should differentiate, you should pay them, you should celebrate them. Everybody knows who the rock stars are. The 70%, he says, are really your worker bees. Most of the 70% are going to stay in that 70%. However, you want to always try to encourage them into that top 20%. Give them ways to grow, challenge them. Some don't want to be in the top 20%, so it's not bad to be in that group. But the bottom 10, he says, fire. And so for me, that's kind of like, ouch. But that's his thought. Okay, have you guys heard of the Myers-Briggs personality profile? Okay. I don't obviously have access, we're not taking it today, but I'm going to go through it, and just hopefully by the description, you'll kind of have an idea what your type is. And then from that, we can talk a little bit about why personalities are so important and to understand it for your team.
You were inviting a counseling center, have it available for about $10.
Pardon?
You were advising a counseling center, have it available, the test is available for $10.
At Myers-Briggs? Oh, that's great.
I took it.
I pay more than that, so that's $10 is great for the Myers-Briggs. Okay, there's Myers-Briggs is, and again, first off, it's the most worldwide popular personality assessment used. It's considered 90% accurate, and there's no right or wrong, good or bad. I do not suggest it as a tool for hiring, but once you have your team in place, it's very, very informative and effective, and people love it. It's wonderful just as a self-awareness tool to learn about yourself and to learn about your team. As I was thinking, okay, there's 16 potential types, and again, there's no right or wrong. Oh, I was going to tell you the story because I think it was so funny. There's somebody here in Anchorage, a dentist, who gives anybody he hires the Myers-Briggs and will only hire the exact same type as him. Isn't that weird? So that's like, no, don't do that. So the first the different things is introversion versus extroversion. And this is where you get your energy. It's not about being shy versus outspoken. It is where do people energize you, or after a day like this, do you want to go home and just like be quiet? So it's where you get your energy. It's really important when you know you have some introverts on your team during meetings, they're not going to be the ones raising their hand. The extroverts are going to go, we'll tell you, we have Rick, Scott, and Al. I'm betting they're all extroverts, right? And excuse me. When you have questions, right? So you want to but it doesn't mean the introverts don't have a lot to share. So sometimes you have to kind of create an atmosphere, even if it's bringing them, if some are shy, but it's getting them to talk, understanding that they must get away from the crowd to revitalize. I knew a guy who took up smoking unconsciously, and he goes, I don't understand why. He goes, I only smoke when I'm at parties, and he's super, super introverted. And he goes, and that's all. And I go, do you think it's because it gives you an excuse to leave the party so you can go outside by yourself to smoke? He goes, that's exactly what I was doing. He didn't like to smoke. He just wanted an excuse to go get away from everybody. And if you are introverted, you're a leader. It doesn't mean you're not a leader. You just will be acting, your leadership style will be different from the extroverts. You will have to monitor yourself that you do go up, make sure you eye contact, see people, talk to people. The introverts are more likely, if they come in there, and the office is here, that just walk in and not look at anybody. And what happens is the employees are all, he doesn't say hi, and they think it's them. So that's something that, again, you just have to say, okay, this is what I do. So you, as introverts, being aware of it, you just have to step out of your comfort zone a little bit. But my thought, anytime you're out of your comfort zone, whether it's doing marketing or whether doing accounting or sales, it means you're growing. So learn when you feel that discomfort that you're going, I'm growing. Because the first time you try anything, it's hard. I was just telling Eric, excuse me, that my first speech class, I took an F in college because I was so petrified. I wouldn't. I mean, the thought of, oh my gosh, I took an F. And so anyway, so this has been a long time coming to be able to sit here and talk to people. And so for the first time though, again, and part of the reason I almost didn't come today, and I was going to have Rick teach this because I was like, oh, it's tax season, I'm busy, I got this stuff. And I said, no, this is such a good opportunity for me, not only to share. They said if you know something and you teach it, it's the best way to learn it. And so it's for me to share, which I love, to meet new people. And I go, I've never spoken in front of 50 people before. Is it out of my comfort? Yeah. So extroversion versus introversion, sensing versus intuition. And this is how you bring in information. Someone who's sensing, it's through the 5. Do I smell, see it, hear it? You got the chemists, scientists. If they can't touch, if it's not the 5 senses, they discount it. Intuition is more abstract, might go with the gut.